Good afternoon, everyone. It is Saturday at 12:19, so technically the afternoon. I try to be technical. I fuck up all the time. It's Reggie, aka Regular Reg, one half of Common Folk Podcast. You know what it is. Blah blah blah. Got to say all that. Um, so I had kind of like an epiphany. I wouldn't go as far as saying epiphany, but I had an understanding moment. One of those moments where you realize something just in something someone says, and you realize something going forward. And I want to share that with y'all. So I had somebody hit me up this morning, and she tells me like, "Oh, my kid is gone. Whatever, her father took him." And I'm like, "Yo, I bet you want a backflip, right?" And then I thought to myself like, "Yo, we are fucked up parents. Like that's wrong to say. You know what I mean? It's true, but it's wrong. You know what I mean? Like you don't want to. Who says that? But at the same time, it's like any parent will understand." And then it hit me. People that don't have kids, right, will never fully understand what it takes to raise that kid. It's not their fault. You cannot create experience. It's not their fault. They'll never fully understand, right? But like for instance, let's think of like childbirth. When people go to the hospital and see the baby, right? They're just like, "Oh my god, it's so amazing. It's such an amazing process. It's so beautiful. Look what you did. You made a human." And I used to think the same thing. Yo, you just let a baby out of your body, bro. Like, the best thing I own is shoes, And I'm thinking these things, and then, but for the person that had the baby, it's beautiful for a completely different reason. Cause they're sitting here like, yo, I just pushed a bowling ball out of my vagina. Like, I ripped shit, I tore shit, I moved bones, I shit myself. There's a lot of disgusting, terrible things that happened that caused this human to exist. But we're always looking at it from the, oh my god, it's so beautiful. That's all we see. Like, that's all we can see. And it is beautiful. But nobody will fully understand the experience. Like, there's certain things you really just gotta go through. And I was always smart enough as a young person to understand that I don't have to go through that to know that I'm not ready for that. I was really good at being young. When I was 19, 20, I was one of the best young motherfuckers you ever gonna meet. Like, I was able to do a lot, and I loved what I was able to do, and I knew what I liked to do and what I was good at. And I knew what I probably wasn't ready for. And the people that were also gung ho to have kids, I always kind of felt like they were immature. And to some extent, I might have been right, but sometimes I was wrong because there's a limit to which you can take with a kid. There's a limit to what you can do and accept from a kid, and people don't understand that. People don't know that there are some people that don't like their kids. That's a thing that nobody wants to talk about. Some kids are little assholes. And there's so many people that you're not allowed to say that out loud or in public, but there are some kids that it's like you're as a parent you're looking at them like, and you like, you little fucker, like I fuck, and it's true, because some things they don't know what they're doing. They're kids, they really don't know what they're doing, but some things they know exactly what they're doing, and they're testing you, and it pisses you off because you're an adult and you know what they're doing, and it's kind of part of being raised because they have to test you to see where their limits are. Kids have to test their boundaries, but sometimes they do it and they know exactly what they're doing, and you have to just take that. Being the adult all the time in a room is very, very hard. It's very hard to look at a 3-year-old as a 3-year-old all the time, because there are moments when you want to go, shut the and go off, but you can't, because this person doesn't fully understand what they're doing or why. So you always have to be the adult. And that works in all situations, not just with kids. There's some people you always have to be the adult with, and it makes you upset because there are times when you want to be the one screaming at the top of your lungs and being childish. But with kids, you don't have that ability. Like, for instance, my child, right? Even with myself, with my child, like, I have my child for days on end sometimes, but the mother has her all the time. And I commend her for that. Because at the end of the day, she doesn't have to give her back to me. She has to be with her. And I commend her because while some people may understand because of babysitting, or because of they raise cousins or they raise brothers and sisters or they babysit, at the end of the day, their job stops at a point. Even when they see the kid have a tantrum and they have to deal with that for a night, they know in the morning that feeling of knowing you could give it back in the morning, it is a comforting feeling that lets you keep going. Imagine if you don't have that morning coming. Imagine if you're gonna deal with this tantrum and then you're gonna deal with it tomorrow and you're gonna deal with it the next day. There's no safety net. You are the safety net. And that can make or break people. People don't understand. It's not just the moments you have to deal with that make or break you, but it is the longevity of doing something forever, and knowing it's always gonna land on you. That's what makes or breaks. That's what some people become miserable for it, right? And become negative, and some people see it as a positive and try to push forward and push through. Like, you ever seen those parents that they talk to their child and they just like when they're older, they're like, I gave up everything for you. I don't have a man for you. I could have gone more on my job and blah blah. And all they can see is the things they gave up being a parent. And I think some part of that is because they never had they came into it with the wrong expectations. I think that they never fully, and this isn't a thought process. For me, I believe those parents were the ones that were so happy to have a kid and didn't know what it meant fully until they had to give up what they had to give up. I always knew what it meant to have a child, and I knew you had to give up the world because I saw what my mom went through. So I knew what it was, and I was like, not for me. But those that kind of had an idea already knew what they came into it with a different mindset because they kind of knew, like, I'm about to have a kid. Shit about to change. Some people didn't, and then when it changed, they took care of it, but they were a little bitter because of it. And I feel like those people that are raising cousins and sisters and brothers, it's like, yo, thank you. We're people very thankful for you, but at the end of the day, and those that say I'm not ready for a kid, that's smart because you have to deal with that. You know that experience, but always know that you're not the last line of defense, and that changes the way you approach things. That's why people can take certain things that other people cannot, because you're not the last line of defense. And I feel like those moments where you know that it's not going to end and you have to keep going, make or break a person. And it hit me because it was just like, there's some parents that don't like their kids and can't say it. Some parents that can't stand, like, those parents. You ever see those videos, those memes now where they show like the real. I like memes for a particular reason because it shows a culture of something that some people understand and some people would never understand. And the parenting memes are those miserable ones that you read that you're like, damn, these, like, is it that bad? And it's like, yeah, yeah, it kind of is. But there's a part to it that you won't understand as beautiful as well. And that's the part I'm trying to embrace. The struggle of it. You know what I mean? I'm trying to see the struggle as something that makes me better because in my older age, I've started realizing, like, the best part of me is the one that learned from the hardest things in my life. You know what I mean? I've come so far because I've decided that I fully understand now that I don't know everything. I know what I know, and what I don't know, I gotta come into acting like I don't know it, and I gotta learn it and then improve upon it and listen to those that do know. So I approach parenting like I'm very observant. I approach my child like an experiment. I observe what she does. If she falls, I wait to see because I'm not around all the time, right? So I don't get to see this every day like her mother. So I wait to see what she does when she falls, right? Because things change every day with these kids. So I wait to see what she does. Is she gonna get up on her own? I give her the opportunity to get up on her own because the doctor said something to me that was amazing. He said, "We're all uncomfortable, and that includes our children. And as a parent, you're forced to make yourself feel like, oh my god, let me come hold you, let me come hug you. But it's like sometimes you have to understand that your kid's going to be uncomfortable, and they're going to get through that just like everybody else. So I watch and I make sure I try to see if she can do it on her own, or what is her first thing to do. Luckily, my child is not the one that falls and cries. She gets up because she has to continue what she's doing. Like, if you give, if you take something from my daughter, she'll cry. But then you give it back to her, she'll stop crying. Some kids will cry when you take it from them. When you give it back, they'll cry because they once didn't have it. That's just their personality, I guess. And that's why I don't judge other people's kids. But I observe. I see what I know, right? I see what she naturally does, and I try to push that. Like, I try to push what she's and observe what she's good at too, and what she's not. Because a lot of parents are like, I want my like I have this thing with a lot of parents that want to be their kids' friends. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to be your friend. I want you to be comfortable with me, but I'm not your friend. Like, there's got to be a little bit of fear there. I work in a school and I see kids that have no fear, and I see where they're going. I don't want my kid to walk around thinking we that cool. But at the same time, I want them to know that, yo, listen, we not cool, but you can't tell me certain things. But it's a hard balance. Trust me, I understand why people don't know how to balance it sometimes. I don't fully know how to balance it. I'm learning as I go. But I admit that I'm learning as I go, and I observe, and I take from my mother, because my mother was like practically a kid whisperer at this point. I take from my mother what she did good. I take exactly what she did good. I know exactly what she did. I listen to her and everything she says, but I don't agree with everything. You know what I mean? So then I watch what my kid's doing. Then when I see what she's good at, what she's not, and I'm gonna push that. Like when my kid gets old enough, if I know that you were always good at running, if you were always fast or you were always active, know that you're gonna be in track, whether you like it or not. People be like, oh no, if my kid doesn't like it, I'm not gonna force them. Fuck that. What do they know about what they want? Certain decisions you can explain to your kids, but certain decisions they won't fully grasp or understand till later. So you kind of gotta force them. It's like communism was one of those things where it's just like you can't force people, grown people, to do what you tell. You're gonna be a doctor. You're gonna be this. You're gonna be that because that's what society needs. But sometimes if you see that someone's good at something and they're really good at it, you're gonna have to do what I said because that's what's best for you, and you don't even know it yet. I mean, communism took it too far, but you get what I'm saying. And I feel like with me, I wasn't observed for what I was good at as a kid. I was observed for what they knew to be successful. So they say do what's gonna make the most money. But what's gonna make the most money might not be good for me because if I don't like it, I can't do it well. It's that simple. People don't do well what they don't like, and people do well at what they're good at. That's another thing. You don't even know that. But if you're good at something, later on you could do great in it, and you'll love it later. Maybe not now, but later because you're good at it. And that's how I approach parenting: observation, then act. And act in the best interest of the child, even if they don't like it. And I mean, while people may disagree, that's how I see it. And I feel like I was just sitting here and I was thinking, I'm just like, yo, damn, son, there are actually people that can't say the truth. I don't like my kid today. You're being a little shit today. And I feel like that's holding us back because the fact that we're not being honest about certain things, it's keeping us from being able to be real. And then when we can't be real, we act like everything's going good, and there's an underlying layer of hate. That's where I think that creates these bitter people with animosity. You know what I mean? That creates the parent that goes, I gave up everything for you. Because while they were giving it up, they weren't allowed to say anything about it. So when you got older, you say everything we want. That's not fair. That's not fair. Talk to somebody like, my kid's an asshole. Tell them that. It's okay. So right, man. But just know that that's your kid, and at the end of the day, that's your responsibility. It is your choice to accept that asshole and make them not an asshole. You know? And I don't know, it just came to mind like, damn, son, one day I'm not gonna like my little girl. I love her right now. I love everything about her. Even when she smiles, even when she cries, I love it. But one day I'm gonna look at her, I'm gonna go, I don't like you. I can't say it to her, obviously. But I should be able to at least say it to myself and ask myself why. I feel like that's a big thing we're not doing, you know? I look at myself now like an experiment, just like I see my child. I look at myself like, if I'm doing something and I like it, I'm like, okay, why do I like this thing? If I love playing video games, why can I play video games for hours but I can't work for hours and be happy? What do I like about this video game? What do I actually like about doing this? And then when you think about it, maybe it's the competitive sport of it, maybe it's the video game itself. But then after that, I go, okay, and how can I put that into other things I'm doing? Maybe monetize it, make money from it. That's how I think. Make money from everything I like. That's the way I'm trying to live my life right now. How can I do what I like and make money from it? And I feel like a lot of people aren't doing that. They're just seeing what they like, and it's like, well, I just like that because I like that, and I don't like my job, but I got to do my job. Nah, there's a way to mix it. And I feel like if we look at our kids that way, like what I don't like about them and why, we can go into things with a better perspective of our children and ourselves. And we can be honest and not be bitter. Just trying to create less bitter people, baby. All right, man. You have a good Saturday.